Have you ever driven down a road so quiet, so empty, that it feels like the world has vanished around you? Imagine reaching the very end of County Road 6, and seeing a house unlike any you have ever seen. Crooked, silent, watching. People say no one leaves once they step inside, and no one has ever returned to tell the tale. Tonight we follow those who dared to enter: Alex, Maura, Caleb, and now Emily. What waits for them inside? What horrors hide behind those walls? And could you be the next to hear the whispers calling your name? Stay with us, if you dare. But remember, once you enter there may be no way out. Watch until the end, if you have the courage. The house at the end of County Road 6. The gravel crunched beneath Alex's boots as he walked. The night air was thick, pressing close, heavy with the scent of damp soil. Each step echoed louder than it should have, swallowed by the silence of the road. The trees leaned inward, their branches like crooked fingers reaching down. A single light glowed faintly ahead. The house. It sat crooked on its foundation, shutters hanging loose, the roofline jagged against the cloudy sky. Alex stopped. The cicadas had gone quiet. Only the wind moved, carrying the faint creak of rusted hinges from somewhere unseen. The air grew colder. His breath fogged even though it was late summer. He felt watched. A shadow shifted in the upstairs window. Just a flicker. Gone before his eyes could focus. The crunch of gravel behind him made his stomach twist. He turned fast. No one stood there. Only the long empty road. The silence deepened, so heavy it rang in his ears. The porch steps groaned, though he had not moved. One by one. As if someone was walking down toward him. His chest tightened. His palms burned cold with sweat. The door at the top of the porch opened an inch. Darkness spilled out, darker than the night itself. The door creaked wider, slow and uneven, like it resisted being opened. Alex's throat felt dry. The smell of old wood and something metallic drifted into the air. He told himself it was rust. He told himself it was nothing. But his legs moved forward anyway. The porch boards bent under his weight, groaning louder than they should. Every sound seemed amplified as if the night itself listened. He reached the door. The darkness inside looked alive, shifting like smoke. A faint rhythm pulsed within. Tap, tap, tap. Steady. Unhurried. It came from deep inside the house. Alex pressed his palm against the doorframe. The wood was damp. Sticky. His breath caught when he realized the surface was warm, as if the house itself was breathing. The tapping stopped. Silence again. Then from the blackness, a voice whispered his name. Clear. Close. Right by his ear. Alex spun to his left. No one was there. Only the open door, yawning wider now as if inviting him in. The floor inside reflected a faint shimmer, like water pooled across it. He stepped over the threshold. The air shifted instantly. Heavy. Wet. The smell of iron grew stronger, sharp enough to sting his nose. The door slammed shut behind him. The echo rattled through the walls, then died into silence. He froze. Every instinct screamed to run. But his feet refused. The hallway stretched ahead, lined with wallpaper that peeled in curling strips. His shoes made no sound as he walked, though the floorboards looked brittle enough to break. At the end of the hall, a door stood half open. A faint glow leaked out, flickering like candlelight. The tapping sound returned. Louder. Closer. He pushed the door with the tips of his fingers. It swung inward, slow and smooth without resistance. Inside the room was nearly bare. Only a chair. And on the chair, something sat with its back to him. The figure in the chair did not move. Its shoulders rose and fell in a slow, unnatural rhythm. Almost mechanical. Alex's pulse pounded in his ears. The candlelight wavered, stretching the shadow of the figure across the wall. The shadow's head twitched. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Alex took one cautious step closer. The floor gave a soft groan beneath him. The figure froze. The rise and fall of its shoulders ceased. The silence pressed so heavy against his chest he thought he might suffocate. Then the head began to turn. Slowly. Too slowly. As if the neck had no bones at all. The sound of tendons straining filled the air. A wet, stretching noise that made his stomach clench. The face came into view. Pale. Lifeless eyes that seemed to drink the light instead of reflect it. And yet the mouth moved. Shaping words Alex could not hear. He leaned in against his better judgment. The lips parted wider. A whisper crawled out, soft and jagged. You should not have come here. The voice slithered into Alex's ear like broken glass dragged across stone. His stomach turned, but he could not back away. The figure's jaw unhinged wider than human. The skin around its mouth stretched thin, tearing in places. No blood. Only darkness inside, darker than the room itself. The chair scraped across the floor without the figure's hands moving. It was sliding closer to him. The air thickened, pressing down on his lungs. Each breath burned as if the air itself resisted being pulled in. Alex stumbled backward, his heel striking the wall. The wallpaper crumbled under his palm, damp and brittle. The figure rose from the chair. Its legs bent wrong, knees buckling inward before straightening with a crack. It stood taller than it should have. Too tall for the room. Its head tilted, jerking in sharp, unnatural angles. The whisper came again, this time louder. "You open the door." The candle sputtered, nearly extinguished. The walls of the room pulsed with the same rhythm as before. Tap, tap, tap. But now it was not coming from the floor. It came from inside the walls themselves. Growing louder. Closer. As if something else was trying to get out. The tapping swelled into pounding. Each strike rattled the floor beneath Alex's shoes. Dust rained from the ceiling. The figure's mouth gaped wider, impossibly wide, its jaw hanging in silence. The pounding stopped. For a moment the house held its breath. Then the wall to Alex's right bulged outward. Wood groaned. Plaster cracked. Something inside pressed against it, straining to break free. Alex staggered sideways, his shoulder hitting the doorframe. The figure lurched forward, its long fingers brushing the floor as it moved. It did not walk. It dragged itself, boneless, gliding toward him. The bulge in the wall split open with a tearing shriek. From the gap, pale hands shot out. Dozens of them. Small hands. Childlike. They clawed at the air, at the walls, at each other. The sound of nails scratching would fill the room, high and frantic. Alex's chest locked tight. He tried to scream, but only air wheezed out. The hands reached for him. Grasping. Pulling. Dragging at his sleeves, his wrists, his throat. The figure leaned close, its empty eyes inches from his. The whisper returned, but now it came from every hand, every mouth inside the wall. In the house no one leaves. The grip of the hands tightened. Cold fingers wrapped around Alex's arms and throat, dragging him toward the wall. The wallpaper split further, revealing not wood or brick, but a hollow tunnel of shifting flesh. The smell hit him, rotting earth mixed with rusted iron. Alex thrashed, his nails tearing into the floorboards. Splinters dug under his skin, but the hands pulled harder, unyielding. The figure towered over him now, its limbs stretching longer, joints bending with sharp cracks. Its face hung inches above his, mouth still open, but no sound came. Only silence. Then the silence broke. The hands began to scream. Not one voice. Hundreds. Children. Women. Men. All shrieking at once, a wave of agony that rattled his bones. Alex's vision blurred. The wall opened wider, pulling him in up to his chest. He clawed at the floor, wood breaking beneath his fingers. The candlelight flickered violently, shadows spinning across the room. In the chaos he saw them. Faces in the wall. Pressed into the surface like wax, their mouths moving in silent terror. Their eyes followed him. Every single one. The figure leaned close, and this time it smiled. Its voice rose above the screams, calm and clear. "You belong here now." The wall swallowed him deeper, the cold pressing against his ribs, his spine. Every inch felt like sinking into ice water. The screaming around him grew louder, blending into a single endless wail. Hands clawed at his face, his hair, forcing his head toward the hollow. His vision swam. Dark shapes moved within the tunnel, crawling just beyond sight. Whispers cut through the noise, jagged and overlapping. "Stay. Never leave. Another for the house." Alex's arm broke free for a moment. He slammed his fist against the floor. Wood splintered, but the sound was drowned by the howling chorus. The figure bent lower, its mouth inches from his ear. Its voice was soft, almost gentle. "Do not fight. It is easier if you let go." The floor gave way beneath his feet. Not wood anymore. Something soft. Something that pulsed like muscle beneath skin. He was sinking. The house itself was pulling him down. His scream tore from his throat, but it vanished instantly, absorbed by the walls. The last sliver of candlelight flickered once, then vanished. Darkness swallowed everything. And still, the hands pulled at Alex's body slid further into the wall, the surface closing around him like wet clay. The air thinned, sharp and metallic, burning his lungs. He could not tell if he was still screaming. The sound of voices drowned everything. They swirled inside his head, thousands of whispers overlapping until they became a single endless drone. The darkness pressed closer, but faint shapes began to form. Faces. Dozens. Hundreds. They floated around him, pale and distorted, their eyes wide with eternal panic. Mouths opened and closed without sound, yet the whispers in his skull grew stronger. Each face leaned close, brushing against his skin as if begging him to join their silent chorus. Something moved beneath his feet. Not hands this time. A slow, slithering weight circling his ankles. It coiled up his legs, rough and cold, pulling him deeper. The walls pulsed in rhythm, each beat shaking through his bones. The figure from the chair appeared again, though it did not walk. It emerged directly from the wall, its body stretching free like liquid shadow. It stood above him, tall enough that its head scraped the ceiling. Its eyes burned now, twin voids that seemed to swallow the remaining light. It raised one hand, long and skeletal, and pressed its finger against Alex's forehead. Every whisper inside him fell silent. Then a single voice spoke, clear and final. "You are part of the house." The moment the finger touched his forehead, fire raced through his skull. Images exploded behind his eyes. Not memories of his own. Others. Hundreds of them. People he had never seen. People who had walked this same road, stepped onto this same porch, opened this same door. Their lives ended here. And now their faces lived within the walls. Alex tried to move, but his limbs no longer belonged to him. The hands held him in place, yet he realized they did not need to. His body was betraying him. The figure leaned closer, its cracked lips brushing his ear. "The house keeps what it takes." Alex felt the wall press tighter against his chest. It was not cold anymore. It was warm. Alive. A steady heartbeat pulsed through the surface and it matched his own. No worse. His heartbeat was fading into it, sinking until he could no longer tell which was his. The faces swarmed around him, mouths stretched in silent screams. He wanted to look away. He could not. His eyes were forced open, held wide by something unseen. One face pushed forward, closer than the rest. A woman, her expression raw with terror, her lips forming words he could almost hear. "Help me." Her mouth tore wider, splitting into a void that began to swallow her entire face. Alex's vision dimmed. The heartbeat of the house grew louder. Thud, thud, thud. It was not just around him now. It was inside him. The heartbeat thundered in his skull. Every thud dragged him deeper, until he could no longer tell where his body ended and the house began. The woman's face dissolved into the wall, her eyes still fixed on him until the last instant. Others surged forward to take her place. Mouths gaping. Eyes pleading. Each one brushing past his skin, cold as ice water. Alex tried to speak. No sound came. His throat was locked, as if invisible fingers gripped it tight. The figure loomed above him, stretching taller, its limbs bending in ways that defied bone. Its face lowered until its empty eyes swallowed his entire vision. When it spoke, the sound did not come from its mouth. It came from the walls. From the floor. From the ceiling. "You are not leaving." The words vibrated through his chest, shaking him apart from the inside. His arms sank into the surface. His legs followed. Only his head remained above the wall, eyes wide, gasping for air that was no longer there. The faces pressed close, circling him like vultures. Some wept. Some laughed. All were trapped. The last thing he felt was the house's heartbeat folding into his own. Then, silence. The walls smoothed over as if nothing had ever happened. The candlelight flickered once more, steady and calm. The chair sat empty. And the house at the end of County Road 6 waited quietly for the next visitor. 2 nights later, a storm rolled over County Road 6. The rain hammered the gravel, washing deep grooves into the dirt. Headlights cut through the darkness. A car slowed as it approached the crooked house at the very end. Inside sat Mara, gripping the wheel tight. She had heard the stories. Whispers in town about people vanishing on this road. She told herself it was nonsense. Urban legend. But still, her stomach twisted as she parked near the sagging fence. The house looked darker than the night around it. Windows blank. Porch sagging. Shutters trembling in the storm. A single candle glowed faintly in the upstairs window. Mara frowned. Her friend Alex was supposed to meet her hours ago. His car was not on the road. Her phone had no signal. She opened the door, the rain soaking her in seconds. The air felt heavy, thick with the smell of earth and rust. Her boots squelched in the mud as she walked toward the porch. The steps groaned beneath her weight. The front door hung slightly open. A draft breathed out, warm and damp, carrying a faint sound. Tap, tap, tap. Mara froze. It was coming from deep inside the house. And then, from upstairs, A whisper curled through the storm. Her name. Spoken in Alex's voice. Mara's breath caught in her chest. The voice was unmistakable. Alex. But it sounded thin, stretched, as though it came from far below water. She took one step back onto the porch. The storm roared harder, the rain pelting against the roof like fists. The wind howled through the trees, bending their branches low. Every instinct begged her to leave. To run back to the car, to drive until the house was nothing but a fading shadow in the storm. But the whisper came again. Clearer this time. Closer. Mara? Her knees weakened. She pressed her palm against the door. The wood felt damp. Warm. Almost like skin. The tapping inside grew louder. Steady. Rhythmic. Tap, tap, tap. Lightning flashed, flooding the room beyond the door with brief white light. In that single instant she saw the hallway. And she saw someone standing at the far end. A figure. Tall. Unmoving. The light died. Darkness swallowed the space again. Her pulse hammered in her throat. Mara? The voice called low and broken. This time it came from the figure. Her hand trembled on the door. And still. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her with a hollow thud. The sound echoed through the hallway, stretching far beyond what the house should hold. Mara froze, her breath shallow. The air smelled of damp wood and rust. Every creak of the old floor seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. At the far end the figure still stood. Unmoving. Waiting. She swallowed hard. Alex, she whispered. The name cracked in her throat. The figure tilted its head, slow and unnatural. Lightning flashed again through the window. For the briefest moment she saw its face. White. Expressionless. Eyes too wide. Then the dark returned. The tapping started once more. This time it came from the walls on either side of her. First to the left. Then to the right. Closer. Louder. She backed away, her hands brushing against the peeling wallpaper. The surface was soft. It pulsed beneath her fingertips like a beating vein. Her stomach turned. The figure at the end of the hall began to move. Step by step. Its joints cracked with every shift. And through the dark Alex's voice floated toward her again. Mara, you should not have come. Her heart hammered so hard it drowned the storm outside. The figure crept closer, each step deliberate, stretching the silence between them. Mara stumbled backward, her shoulder colliding with a crooked door along the hallway. The wood rattled under her touch. A faint breath leaked through the cracks, warm and damp. She spun the knob without thinking and slipped inside. The door groaned shut behind her. The room smelled worse, like rotting soil mixed with iron. Her flashlight flickered as she clicked it on. The beam swept across broken furniture, shattered glass, and walls scarred with deep gouges. Then it caught something else. A smear of red across the floorboards. It trailed toward the far corner of the room. Her throat tightened. She followed the smear with trembling steps, the light trembling in her grip. In the corner sat another chair. And someone in it. A figure slumped forward, their head bowed. Hair, dark and matted, hung across their face. Alex. Mara whispered, her voice breaking. The figure stirred. Slowly its head lifted. When the hair shifted aside she saw the face. It was Alex. But his skin was pale, stretched tight. His lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. Only a low, rattling gasp. The flashlight flickered again. And in that stuttering light, Mara saw the wall behind him. Dozens of hands pressed against it from the inside. Pushing. Clawing. As if desperate to break through. The hands behind the wall beat harder, the wood groaning as cracks spread outward. Mara staggered back, her flashlight beam jittering across Alex's pale face. His eyes rolled upward, unfocused, as if something else was pulling them from within. Mara? Her name slid out of his mouth in a voice that was both his and not his. She froze. He tried to rise from the chair, but his movements were stiff, jerking, like strings pulled by unseen hands. His neck snapped too far to the side, bone popping loudly in the silence. Mara's stomach lurched. She wanted to run. But her feet rooted to the floor. Alex's mouth opened again. This time the sound was wrong. Not a voice. A chorus. Dozens of whispers speaking at once, spilling out of his throat in overlapping tones. You should have left, you should have left. The wall behind him buckled. Fingers broke through the surface, clawing at the air, reaching for her. Alex's body jerked forward, collapsing onto his knees. His face lifted inches from hers. His skin had begun to split along the jawline, dark void leaking through the cracks. And from inside that void, another voice emerged. Oh, come. You will join him. The room shook. The door behind Mara slammed shut on its own. The candlelight outside the hall flickered once, then went out completely. She was trapped in darkness. With Alex. And the hands, the dark pressed close, thick and suffocating. Mara's flashlight sputtered, then died in her hand. Only the sound of breathing filled the room. Not hers. Heavy. What? Coming from all around her. She stumbled backward, her palms scraping against the wall. It pulsed beneath her touch, shuddering like something alive. Hands broke through the cracks fully now, pale and clawing, grasping at the air. One brushed her wrist. Cold. So cold it burned. Mara yanked free, her chest heaving. Then a glow returned. Not from her flashlight. From Alex. His eyes burned faintly, dull white, casting just enough light to reveal the horror around him. His mouth stretched wider, tearing at the corners, until it split almost to his ears. The whispers poured out stronger, overlapping into one deafening hiss. Stay, stay, stay. The hands surged forward, clawing the floor, the walls, reaching for her legs. Mara screamed and kicked them away, stumbling toward the door. It would not budge. The handle burned hot under her grip, searing her skin. Behind her, Alex rose fully. Bones cracked as he straightened, his body taller now, stretched beyond human form. He took one slow step toward her, the floor groaning under his weight. His voice cut through the whispers. Do not fight it. The house has already chosen you. The whispers swelled until the walls seemed to scream. Mara pressed her palms against her ears, but the sound drilled straight into her skull. Her vision blurred, her knees buckling as the floor seemed to ripple beneath her feet. The boards were no longer wood. They were soft. Breathing. Each step sank slightly, as though she stood on the chest of something enormous lying just beneath the house. Alex loomed closer, his glowing eyes fixed on her. His arms hung too long now, fingers scraping against the floorboards. Mara, he rasped, his voice stretched, layered with countless others. You cannot leave. The hands from the wall surged again, wrapping around her ankle. She screamed, kicking frantically, the cold grip tearing at her skin. The wall split wider, faces pressing outward, mouths open in silent terror. Their eyes rolled toward her, each one locking onto her with desperate hunger. She yanked free and threw herself at the door again. It groaned but refused to open. Her fists pounded against it, splinters digging into her skin. Behind her, Alex's body convulsed, his chest splitting open with a wet, tearing sound. From the cavity inside, more hands spilled out, writhing like worms, reaching for her. The smell of iron and rot filled the room, thick and choking. The whispers hushed all at once. Silence. Then a single voice, deep and steady, rolled through the house. You are ours. The silence was worse than the whispers. Her chest heaved, every breath sharp, shallow. She turned slowly, her back pressed against the locked door. Alex stood inches away now. His eyes glowed with pale fire, his mouth still gaping, his chest a mass of writhing hands. They reached for her in perfect rhythm, each finger twitching like the legs of spiders. Mara's scream tore out, raw and broken. She shoved him with everything she had. Her palms sank into his skin as though it were clay, leaving dents that pulsed and closed the moment she pulled away. He did not fall. He only leaned closer, his breath wet against her cheek. You will stay, the voice inside him said. The floor shifted beneath her. She felt it, rising, curling, boards twisting like ribs. The house itself was bending to trap her. Her hands scrambled along the wall, searching blindly. Her fingers caught a crack. She shoved her weight against it and the plaster split open. A sliver of night air bled through. Cold. Fresh. Real. Hope surged for the first time. But then Alex's hand clamped around her wrist, ice cold, unbreakable. The wall behind him swelled, dozens of faces pushing outward in waves. Their mouths opened together. Not whispers this time. A scream. So loud it rattled her bones. So loud she thought the world itself might break. The crack in the wall snapped shut. Her hope vanished with it. The scream cut off in an instant, leaving a silence so heavy it crushed her chest. Alex's grip tightened around her wrist, the bones grinding under his strength. Mara gasped, clawing at his arm, but his skin felt wrong. Not flesh. Not solid. It shifted like wet sand sliding beneath her nails. The walls pulsed with each beat of the house's heart. Thud, thud, thud. Every face pressed outward at once, their eyes bulging, mouths stretched too wide. They all whispered the same word in unison. Stay. Alex's head jerked, twitching violently before snapping upright. His empty eyes fixed on her, glowing brighter. From deep inside his chest, one of the hands forced its way free. It stretched toward her face, trembling with hunger. Mara screamed and tore herself backward, the skin on her wrist ripping under his grip. Hot blood sprayed across the floorboards, but the house absorbed it instantly, the wood darkening like a thirsty sponge. The door behind her rattled, slamming again and again though no one touched it. Then it burst open. A gale of freezing wind tore through the hallway, whipping her hair across her face. For a heartbeat, Mara saw the storm outside. The road. The trees. Freedom. She lunged for it, her body crashing through the doorway. But the moment her foot hit the porch, the wood beneath her split apart. The boards curled upward like jaws, snapping shut around her leg. The house dragged her back inside. The storm vanished. The door slammed. And all that remained was darkness. Mara hit the floor hard, the air tearing from her lungs. Her nails scraped at the boards, splinters burying deep under her skin. The door was gone now. Not shut. Gone. Only a seamless wall stood where it had been, smooth and pulsing like the surface of skin. She forced herself up, her body trembling, her breath ragged. Alex loomed in the hallway, his limbs bending in unnatural jerks as he approached. The faces in the walls pressed closer, their mouths gaping wide as if sucking in the air. Every breath she took felt stolen from them. The whispers started again, circling her head in a dizzying spiral. Stay, stay, stay. Mara stumbled backward into another room. Her shoulder hit a dresser that collapsed under her weight, scattering fragments across the floor. She reached for one of the jagged pieces. Her fingers closed around it tight, the wood biting into her palm. Her chest heaved, her arms shaking, but she raised it like a weapon. Alex stopped in the doorway. His head tilted, slow, deliberate. His mouth opened, the corners splitting wider, his voice spilling out in layers. You cannot fight what you are already part of. The house shuddered violently. The floorboards split down the center, blackness yawning beneath her feet. From the void below, countless hands surged upward, grasping, clawing, dragging. Mara screamed and drove the jagged wood into the nearest hand. It burst apart into dust, vanishing into the air. But for every hand she struck, 3 more reached through the gap. The dresser fragments rattled across the floor as the house pulled them toward the dark. Her feet began to slip. The ground itself was swallowing her. Days passed. The storm washed the road clean, but the house remained. Crooked. Silent. Watching. On the 5th night, a delivery truck rolled slowly down County Road 6. The driver, a young man named Caleb, cursed under his breath. The GPS insisted this was the shortcut. But the road was nothing more than broken gravel, swallowed by weeds and shadow. His headlights caught the sagging house at the very end. He slowed. Something about the place set his teeth on edge. But the storm clouds overhead promised rain again, and he did not want to be stuck in it. He killed the engine and stepped out. The air was thick. Still. Too still. Not even crickets sang. As he approached the porch, he noticed the faintest flicker in the upstairs window. A candle. The flame danced, though no wind touched it. He frowned. Hello, he called out. No answer. Only the creak of the porch steps beneath his boots. The door stood cracked open, just wide enough to show darkness beyond. Caleb's stomach twisted. The wood around the frame looked damp, almost swollen, as though it had been breathing in the night air. He turned back toward his truck. And stopped. The gravel drive was empty. The truck was gone. Nothing but trees and shadow stretched behind him. A whisper curled through the open door. Soft. Calling his name. Caleb's pulse raced. The whisper came again. Closer this time. It was not just a sound. It was a pull. A tug at his chest, dragging him forward against his will. The air inside the doorway was warmer, heavy with the scent of iron and damp wood. He hesitated. His instincts screamed to run. But his legs moved anyway. Step by step into the darkness. The door groaned behind him and shut with a final hollow slam. Silence fell. The only sound, the slow, steady heartbeat beneath the floorboards. Thud, thud, thud. He shined his flashlight around the foyer. The walls pulsed faintly, veins rippling beneath the peeling wallpaper. Then he saw it. A chair at the far end of the hall. A figure slumped in it, motionless. But as the light caught the edges of its face, Caleb realized it was not a person. The skin was pale, stretched tight. Eyes hollow. Mouth slightly open, but no sound came. Behind it, the wall began to ripple, like water disturbed by wind. From the cracks, hands emerged. Pale, clawing, writhing. They reached toward Caleb. The whispers rose, a chorus of dozens of voices layered together, calling his name. Stay, stay, stay. Caleb's knees buckled. He stumbled backward, but the floor shifted beneath him. Blackness yawned below, curling upward like waiting jaws. The figure in the chair rose slowly. Its body elongated unnaturally, limbs bending beyond human angles. It spoke, though its voice came from every direction at once. You belong to the house now. The hand surged forward. The walls pulsed with life. And Caleb fell into darkness. Caleb hit the floor hard. Not wood. Not stone. Something soft, wet, and living. The hands wrapped around his arms and legs, pulling him down into the dark. He kicked, clawed, but the grip was impossible to break. From the walls, more hands surged, pale and desperate, digging into his back and chest. The figure in the chair loomed above, impossibly tall now, its mouth opening wide in a silent scream. The whispers intensified, swirling in his head. Stay, stay, stay. The floor beneath him began to pulse, moving like the heartbeat of some massive creature. The walls stretched outward, bending toward him, enclosing him. Caleb's breath came in ragged gasps. He tried to scream, but the air vanished, replaced with a suffocating pressure. The hands dragged him closer to the chair. To the figure. The walls rippled again. From the plaster, dozens of faces pressed outward, mouths stretching open, silent but screaming in terror. His vision blurred. The last thing he saw before the darkness swallowed him completely was the candlelight upstairs flickering. Alive. Waiting. For the next soul to wander down County Road 6. Weeks later, a car rounded the bend on County Road 6. Its headlights cut through the fog, illuminating the twisted branches leaning over the gravel. Inside sat Emily, a college student returning from a late-night road trip. She had heard rumors of the abandoned house at the end of the road. Vanishing people. Whispers of a dark presence. She laughed nervously at the thought. Probably just old stories, she told herself. But as the car crested the final hill, the house came into view. Crooked. Dark. Windows staring like hollow eyes. A single candle flickered in the upstairs window. Emily's stomach twisted. Her pulse quickened. She slowed the car to a stop. The gravel crunched under the tires as she stepped out. The air was thick. The smell of damp earth and something metallic pressed against her. A whisper drifted from the house. Soft. Enticing. Her name. Emily. Her throat went dry. The porch steps groaned under her boots as she approached. The door was cracked open, a dark invitation. Lightning flashed overhead, illuminating the shadow in the hallway. A figure. Tall. Motionless. Emily's heart pounded. The whispers rose, a chorus from the walls. Stay, stay, stay. Her feet moved forward. Step by step. Into the darkness. The door slammed shut behind her. And County Road 6 fell silent once again. The house waited. Always waiting. Inside, Emily's breath caught in her throat. The air was thick and alive, pulsing around her like the house itself was breathing. Walls shifted, rippling with faces pressed just beneath the surface. Whispers rose from every corner. Stay, stay, stay. Her flashlight flickered on, casting weak beams across the hallway. And there, in the chair at the far end, sat Alex. But not Alex. His skin was pale, stretched tight, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. His mouth moved, but the sound was layered, distorted, a chorus of countless voices. Emily froze. The walls pulsed, hands breaking through, clawing toward her. Her instinct screamed to run. She did, not back to the door she had entered, but forward, toward the faint light spilling from the upstairs window. Each step echoed through the house, swallowed instantly by the oppressive darkness. Faces pressed closer, silent screams filling her mind. The figure rose from the chair, limbs bending unnaturally, stretching toward her. Emily stumbled up the stairs, each creak of the wood sounding like a warning. The candlelight flickered once, then revealed a window at the very top. She threw it open. Cold wind slammed against her face. Freedom. For a heartbeat she felt it. The house shuddered, as if realizing its prey had found an opening. She leaped. The wind caught her, carrying her onto the roof of the porch. She ran barefoot over wet shingles to the edge. The gravel road lay below, black and empty. She slid down, hitting the dirt hard, then scrambled forward. Behind her, the house groaned. The walls pulsed one last time, hands flailing toward the sky. Then silence. Emily did not stop running until the twisted silhouette of the house was a distant shadow behind the trees. County Road 6 lay empty. Quiet. But the candlelight in the upstairs window flickered once more. Alive. Waiting. For the next soul. And so the house remained. Crooked. Silent. Eternal.